got his hand up.
Okay, I guess we're good.
Okay, so I would entertain a motion from one of the park commissioners to nominate a president pro tem.
I would like to nominate Jim Ballou to be President Pro Tem.
I second.
We should take roll, Amy.
Commissioner Kessler,
Yes.
Commissioner Robbins,
Here.
Commissioner Moline, Commissioner Baloo,
If I must.
President Dorhoeffer.
All right, thank you. With that, we will get the call to order the meeting of the Vernon Hills Park District on February 28, 2019 at 7:04. Could we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Kessler,
Here.
Commissioner Robbins,
Here.
Commissioner Moline, Commissioner Baloo,
Present.
President Dorhoeffer.
We all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the first item on the agenda is the omnibus vote agenda. Items under the omnibus vote agenda are considered routine and or non-controversial and will be approved by one motion. If a separate vote on any one item is desired, it will be pulled from the omnibus vote agenda and voted on separately. Items this evening are A, minutes of the special board meeting of January 17th, 2019. B, minutes of the regular board meeting of January 17th, 2019. And C, payables, Les Granger, and payroll through February 28, 2019 in the amount of $1,125,975.44. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Questions? Roll call.
Commissioner Robbins,
Yes.
Commissioner Baloo,
Yes.
Commissioner Kessler.
Yes.
Next up are our financial reports for the period ending January 31st. Marla, are there any changes or additions to the reports?
No, as filed, thank you.
Okay. With that, we will come to our welcome to visitors and guests and public comment period. And this evening, we're going to start out with our community service awards. This is where we recognize persons or agencies or businesses that have made great contributions to the Vernon Hills Park District. So I guess I start. So I need to invite Luis Garcia up to the podium, please. Stand right there. Okay. All right, I knew this was gonna happen. I made it too small. I can't see it. Okay, so the Vernon Hills Park District is privileged to partner with the Buffalo Wild Wings since 2012. Our relationship began with the Buffalo Wild Wings sponsoring Ribfest. This led to securing them as an advertiser in our seasonal programming guide, enticing our readers with photos of their mouth-watering wings and beverages for the past 5 straight years, which speaks to their loyalty as a partner. Buffalo Wild Wings expanded their relationship with the Park District as a sponsor in 2016 for a variety of our special events. They have a dedicated commitment to help enhance our events with their fun charm, providing their Buffalo mascot, playful staff attending each event promised in their annual partnership agreement. Employees at every level of Buffalo Wild Wings present such a professional and welcoming vibe, to Vernon Hills community members of all ages that goes above and beyond the normal restaurant customer service. They truly are a wonderful partner that we've been very fortunate to work with the past 7 years. Thank you, Luis, and then Bobby and Vicky, who aren't here, for supporting the Vernon Hills Park District and serving the community to create such memorable experiences for all of us. We hope for many years of partnering together. And with that, we have a small plaque here. It says the Vernon Hills Park District present the Community Service Award to Buffalo Wild Wings in recognition and appreciation of outstanding contributions and unselfish devotion for their advancement of parks, recreation, and leisure in the community and the state of Illinois. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bako.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, you're up next.
All right, Rocco Pasola, come on up, please. Howdy. All right. Oh, there you're right there. Okay. Rocco Pasola joined the Lady Cougars feeder basketball program in 2001, and during those 17 years was the president for 16 of them. One of his primary goals was to foster strong relationships with the Park District and Vernon Hills High School. He wanted to ensure that the appropriate transferable skills and techniques were being taught to prepare players for high school. His accomplishments with the organization are extensive and include the following: 15 division titles, 2 conference championships, NIGFBA Program of the Year in 2008 and 2014. And in 2012 and 2013, the Vernon Hills High School girls basketball team was runner-up at the IHSA 3A championships, and 98% of the players developed their skills in the Lady Cougars program. During his tenure, Rocco coached for 14 seasons while maintaining his title and duties as president. On behalf of the Illinois Association of Park Districts and the Illinois Parks and Recreation Association, we would like to present this Community Service Award to Rocco Pasola in recognition and appreciation of his outstanding contributions and unselfish devotion for the advancement of parks and recreation in Vernon Hills and the state of Illinois. And the plaque basically says the same thing as with the last part of what I just read. So, Rocco, thank you very much. Thank you. Congratulations. Well deserved.
Thank you. Thanks for all your support.
Yeah, I mean, it's been, it's truly been a pleasure, a privilege, and an honor to be able to service the community of Vernon Hills. I don't even live in Vernon Hills, and so it makes it that much more special for me. So thank you for all your support. Greatly appreciate it. We couldn't have had the success that Tom just mentioned if it wasn't for your support. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Mom. I think I need Bill up here with me.
You do. Mr. Paulson.
The same height.
Bill Paulson has been involved with the community baseball program for the past 11 years. Initially, he was involved with the Vernon Hills Cougar Youth Athletic Association. 4 years ago, the baseball program became its own organization known as the Vernon Hills Community Baseball and Softball, and Bill has been the president since its inception. With his children aging out of the program, he has decided to hang up his cleats and move on to other endeavors. On behalf of the Illinois Association of Park Districts and the Illinois Park and Recreation Association, we'd like to present this Community Service Award to Bill Paulson in recognition and appreciation of his outstanding contributions and unselfish devotion for the advancement of the parks and recreation of Vernon Hills and the state of Illinois. Thank you.
Speech, no speech.
Oh, do you want to say anything?
I guess I'll pretty much just reiterate what Rocco said. I appreciate you guys having the trust in myself and the other members of our board to kind of reestablish the baseball and softball program. Left it in good hands, hopefully. It's been a great partnership working with you guys, and still coaching, so you probably haven't seen the last of me. So again, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
No.
Come on up, Jeff. Yep, you're welcome.
Our last awardee this evening, Jeff Wilgus, Mr. Alabama. So, okay. So Jeff Wilgus began coaching soccer to his daughter in the mid-1990s when most local sports were offered through Libertyville. He continued to coach his son and daughter there in multiple sports, always hoping that the same opportunity would eventually come home to Vernon Hills. So when the VHCYAA was created, he eagerly began coaching there in its first season. Not long after, he became the commissioner of lacrosse and was proud to say he started lacrosse in Vernon Hills. Jeff eventually coached 10 years of lacrosse and was level 2 nationally certified coach by U.S. Lacrosse. When VHCYA split into different organizations, Jeff was honored to become the president of the Vernon Hills Sports Club, representing lacrosse, football, and boys feeder basketball. He mentioned the challenge of sustaining a viable and relevant football program in an era where participation is waning, but believes strongly in community-based sports in Vernon Hills, where he's lived for 32 years. On behalf of the Illinois Association of Park Districts and the Illinois Parks and Recreation Association, we would like to present this Community Service Award to Jeff Wilgus in recognition and appreciation of his outstanding contributions and unselfish devotion for the advancement of parks and recreation in Vernon Hills and the state of Illinois. And I just read all that, so congratulations. Thank you.
Okay, sure. I can say the same thing as the other guys. You know, most of us start out coaching with the selfishness of being able to coach our own kids, right? But something about coaching in the community, you know, for me anyway, always wanted to give a little more, right? And so when the opportunity arose to lead, I was honored to be asked, and it was great, and it was a great service for me. I'm proud to have brought lacrosse, a brand new sport, from Libertyville to Vernon Hills, and we've been very successful over the years in that, and that's really what was my passion after my son aged out of the program, and I continue coaching. And so anyway, it's been great, and you know, all the people that I've worked with through the years are what really makes it great, right? The kids having fun, the support from the park district, the fellow volunteers and coaches in our organizations. I mean, if it wasn't all for all of us, none of it would happen. So.
We want to get a picture of all of our recipients.
Thank you.
You too.
I don't want to get used to three guys all retiring at the same time. Losing three leaders at once.
Cheryl, I want to get the three recipients, and then I want to have the board in with a photo.
Okay.
So we can,
There you go.
That's nice.
Okay.
let's go right in front of the, right in front of the dais there. Just slide over a little bit, Rocco, Jeff, Bill, Cindy, come on over here next to.
Because I'm the same height as
Mewing cheerleader down in front.
Jeff's not very photogenic.
Alright. Let me look at it real quick. Wow, it's good.
One shot.
And
Hey, Bill, who would I ask to make sure I'm on the mailing list, the meeting list? I don't think I've gotten them since you left.
I have this one here.
Jenna? Okay, yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, and then.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Your stocking feet, so.
I have all three. His is like Rocco Pasola had something. They're all three.
Thank you.
He's got seniority. Dave and I usually fight over him.
Yep, thanks.
Thank you, gentlemen. As we carry on, just a quick follow-up. Without people like this, we don't really have many youth sports programs in Vernon Hills. It takes a lot of time, dedication, and effort to keep these organizations running, and these gentlemen have been very helpful in doing that for the residents of Vernon Hills, and we should all be thankful that we've had people like them leading those agencies. So once again, I'd like to thank them. Okay.
Well said.
All right, with that, we move on. Any unfinished business?
None.
Sweet, good. We have reports and communication. First up will be Executive Director Jeff Fugere.
All right, thank you. Just wanted to thank Commissioner Kessler and Commissioner Baloo for attending the liaison meeting a few days ago with the village. I think we had a nice spirited conversation, and touched on a lot of different subject matters, one with the Lashin Center, the future concerns with the kindergarten, traffic parking, and then some of the other events that we're looking to do this summer. So thank you both for attending that. We have our annual craft beer event this Saturday night, March 2nd. That starts at 5 p.m. So I think Tom will probably address a little bit more in detail on what's happening with that. The kindergarten facility, the school district opened bids a couple weeks ago now, like 10 days ago, and they got some, very good numbers. They were quite pleased. So at this point, they brought those numbers to the school board, and then in early March, I think it's the 9th or 10th of March, in their next meeting, they'll be advancing the contracts, and the plan is that the project will commence in early April. So we'll start to see a lot of the staging for that particular project, and you'll see it in and around our buildings here as well. I think just one thing I want to highlight is with RibFest, we're pleased to say Live Logistics, which was the sponsor of our bourbon tent last year that we introduced, is coming back for a second year. That's really a great job by Jessica for securing that particular sponsor. It's really important to obviously the success of that program, or that at least that amenity to the program. We talked a little bit about the HAP, which is the Hawthorne After School Program, and rolling out the new name PALS, the Play and Live Stronger acronym. So our marketing team is working on putting information, at least it's on our website for now, but at least through the end of the year, you'll still see that HAP, but we want to just make it clear in public. I do plan on attending a school board meeting sometime this summer, probably their July meeting, to just introduce the PALS program to their administration, their new administration, and some of their board members, just to make sure that we don't further complicate the Hawthorne acronym that people seem to think that that's the program run by the school district. Lastly, Cheryl's been heading up another second year of our application for the NRPA Gold Medal. So we've met with our leadership team just to kind of roll out and assist with the application. But she's going to pull together concise application sometime by mid-March. Our delivery on that is in late March. So we'll see where things go. But I just wanted to keep the board apprised on that. That is all I have. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I do have just one question. What's the projected finish date for the kindergarten facility?
So they'd say it'll be about a year. So if they start in April of 2020 is what they figure. As we know, most construction projects usually go, but they don't officially open until August of 20. So that gives them a little time over the summer months to just make sure they can get all their furnishings in place.
Actually, I have a question following up. How much impact will the construction have on our building?
So on our building, none, but our
flow of
parking
traffic?
lot, yeah. So
Until it-
the staging is, around that area that's going to be under construction, mostly excavation. You're going to see in the first few stages, but they are going to be parking some of the heavy equipment in our aquatic lot at the far south end until our pool opens. And then all of that equipment moves over to the south campus of the school district. So we'll see some of the, I'll just say, smaller contractors using our lot in the far south end until the aquatic center opens. Then nothing's in this lot that is going to be available to them. Once the pool closes again, then you'll have more traffic coming back this way. Yeah.
Alrighty. Any more questions for Jeff? Okay. Thanks, Jeff. With that, next up, Finance and HR Superintendent, Marla DeChico.
I just have a few brief comments. Since basically I've just been working on the budget, I'm going to point out some of Jessica Mitchell's efforts. I just wanted to point out some of the things she does for our staff as risk manager and wellness committee chair. On this past February 20th, Jessica did safety training for our full-time staff. She did the training twice, at 1 p.m. and at 6:15 p.m., so she could accommodate all of our staff. And she did training on accident reporting, emergency response plan, crisis management, 3 points of contact, site safety reviews, seizure management, slip, trip, and fall. So that was very well received, especially the nachos that were provided. Helped to make it a little bit more fun, but I heard it was very good training. And then she also worked with the Wellness Committee to provide an incentive program to help encourage our staff to be active. And that's running January 28th through March 10th. And each week we've had some winners, so that's going well also. And unless you have any questions, that's all.
Any questions for Marla? All is good. All right, thank you. Next up, Recreation Superintendent Tom Ritter.
Good evening. We have a new special event that's coming up in late March called You're My Superhero. We haven't done a mother-son event in quite a long time, and we're bringing it back. We'll have a DJ, they'll be doing some dancing, games, ice cream, but the concept is to dress your favorite superhero. That's going to be on Friday, March 22nd from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. Our enrollment is currently about 140, and we can take 200, so it's got a solid enrollment, but there is still room if anyone's interested in registering. I would register soon. Our Hop-On Holiday Hunt, our annual spring special event, a little bit later this year based on the timing of Easter, will be held on April 20th from 9 to 11 at the Sullivan Center. This is in addition to the various egg hunts by age group. We'll also have a magic show, pictures with the bunny, a continental breakfast that's provided by the Lions Club of Vernon Hills. This is an event that definitely sells out every year. I think we are sitting at about 220 right now with a 250 max. So even though it's not till late April, it probably will be sold out in the next week or two. So I encourage people to register soon. We're adding an event to complement the Hop-On Holiday Hunt this year. The Friday night beforehand, on Friday, April 19th, we're doing a Kids Castle Dragon Egg Hunt at Deer Path Park. So it is something you need to sign up for, but basically you come out with a flashlight and search for the eggs on the playground in the dark. So we're looking forward to that first time event. That one's targeted for 9 to 12-year-olds. Our Loop the Lakes 5K run and walk this year is scheduled for April 27th. I know runners like to plan well in advance. You can register on the Park District's website or at active.com. It's a 9 a.m. run that Saturday morning. We average about 200 participants. And shortly after that, at 11 a.m., we go up to the Island shelter at Century Park and have our annual family kite fly. That's a free event. If anyone needs a kite, we have them for purchase, available for purchase that day. Historically, we would have anywhere from 25 to 50 people. In the last 2 years, it's usually between 125 and 150 people. So it's great when the weather's just right to see 100 plus kites tangled up in the sky. So put those dates on your calendar. We look forward to seeing everybody. This is the season of hiring, so if anyone's looking for summer employment, we are actively searching for lifeguards and pool attendants at the Family Aquatic Center, as well as day camp counselors and day camp directors. These positions are on our Park District website under employment opportunities, so I encourage people to do that now. We are getting close to adult softball and adult kickball registration, so if anyone's interested in a men's softball league, or a co-ed softball league, or a co-ed kickball league. Registration for resident teams begins March 18th. Registration deadline April 16th. Leagues start right around the 1st of May. Information will be available March 5th, either at the Sullivan Center or online. Our community gardens, to get a garden plot, it's all done by lottery online. Lottery registration for this begins March 5th. And runs through March 31st. Again, it's a lottery, so it doesn't matter if you do it at the front end or the back end of that time frame. If there are any remaining plots, they will become available on April 8th. We still have 60 plots. 36 are at Century Park at the north end on Indian Wood Road next to our park maintenance facility. 15 are at the boat dock shelter at Century Park, and 9 are at Hartman Park. We usually sell those out. If not, we're really close. So start thinking about that if you want to do some plantings this summer. Pool passes. This is the time of year when we have the early bird discount. Pool passes are discounted 10% off right now through April 30th. And just keep in mind that when you purchase a pass, it pays for itself in 7 visits. So it's well worth the purchase. 2 more items. Camp registration begins next week. We've been really proud the last couple of years. We've been increasing our flexibility for families, trying to give you the best services we can. And this year we will actually be offering camp. I guess you could kind of call it a la carte. It's 1-week sessions. So while we offer 10 weeks of camp in the summer, if you include last blast at the end of the year, you can sign up for any of those in one week at a time. If there's a week that's a conflict or family's in town, 1 week at a time. And keep in mind that we offer extended care from 6:30 a.m. to as late as 6 p.m. for all these camps. So we should have something for just about everybody. Camp begins the week of June 10th. And finally, just so proud every year, our children's theater program has really become well established now the last few years. I give Margot a lot of credit for what she's done. We have 36 kids in a winter children's theater program, and they'll be doing a performance of Hairspray in May. They come in every week in the community room and practice, and the performance is held on the stage, as I mentioned, in the first week of May. And that's my report, unless there's any questions.
Are there any questions for Tom?
Just one question.
Yes, please.
For the summer employment, what's the youngest age you have to be?
You can be 15 and get a work permit. Generally speaking, 17, 18 is what we're looking for a counselor.
Any other questions?
I didn't mention the craft beer just because it's 2 days away, but we do have about 150, 160 people signed up. We usually have about 200 people. We'll have 17 or 18 different vendors, so we're looking forward to it. We're going to have a higher turnout of the local breweries actually being there to represent their product, which we're looking forward to. So it's always we're at the mercy of them saying yes, but I think we have 7 or 8, which is it's usually 1 or 2, so we're looking forward to that. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Tom. And to those of you watching at home on television, who just saw our board increase to 4, we'd like to welcome Mr. Mike Moline. Okay, next up, we have, where are we now? Park Superintendent, James Kim.
Good evening. A couple of general reports. The Sled Hill was open for, it's a correction, from 27 to 29 days. The ice rink was open for about 12 days. Of 6 of those 12, both rinks were open. For the other half, only 1 was open for use. In 2018, Kids Around the World disassembled playgrounds at Rainey and Donnelly. They were both the same manufacturer. We found out that both playgrounds were joined to create one large playground in Lebanon. I just want to thank Kids Around the World for their valued humanitarian work to help create play spaces for areas less fortunate than ours and reducing waste in our landfills. Fuel tank remediation update. We touched briefly at our budget meeting. The fuel tank over at the old park maintenance shop is still an open case with the IEPA, but most recent discussions with our caseworker show some signs of an end. The most recent soil removal seemed to satisfy some concerns that the IEPA was heavily weighing on this project. One final component, which I did budget for, was to cap the area that's gravelled with asphalt and possibly receive a no further remediation letter, maybe by fall of 19, if everything goes well. Solar panel updates. Working with Aaron Raftery from Train, we've successfully received an interconnection agreement with ComEd. We submitted our full application to the Illinois Power Agency Solar Incentive Program, and to our advantage, not enough submissions qualified for a lottery, so there had to be 104, there was only 100. So their chances of success receiving this Tier 1 incentive are very high. We start to bring in contractors for install proposals next week, actually. And you're included in your board packet are some documents regarding a recent playground purchase for the Family Aquatic Center. Family Aquatic staff and I reviewed several different renderings from new toys, and the design in your board packet is the one that we chose to replace the sand play area that is currently there. Recent bid went out to install both that one and the Garvanian playground, which we received a game time grant for. Both playgrounds are expected to arrive in Vernon Hills in April, and we put in the bid that the FAC playground needs to be completed by May 10th, and the Garvanian is May 20th. One last item, it's a discussion item that I would like to have some direction for maybe next board meeting. After speaking with other park districts as well as our council, many are implementing a monetary penalty per day, a limit or no limit, if a project is exceeding a deadline. In the other situation, a monetary reward per day, a limit would be given if a project is completed well in advance of a set deadline. Both situations would be included in the bid specifications for projects or products that have a deadline that needs to be met. This is just being brought for some preliminary conversations and directions for moving forward for any bid documents or bids that we put out to the public.
I'll put my 2 cents in. I'm all for it. I think they're great. The only drawback I have heard from other constituents is that some have thought that the bids came in higher than they would have because they're anticipating penalties. So all of a sudden you're paying a little extra, and if they get done on time, they skate out and make a few extra bucks. That's the only downside or comment that I've ever heard about them. But otherwise, I'm all for them, because a lot of these guys drag their heels.
Yes. And we would give ample time. I mean, if it's like a May 10th, but it seems unfeasible for a 1 month, then we might say June 20th and then work with them. I was talking to Buffalo Grove Project, excuse me. Their bids came on 30 to 40% higher because of that reason. And they did have a reward as well in their bid. So that is something that it needs to be considered, yes.
So my comment too was concerned of they're just gonna make their bids higher to compensate for it. Has this been a problem getting projects done on time? Is this why you're bringing this up?
Yes, I think the construction world, people take too much work, I feel, and I'm hoping this will deter them from taking more than they can really handle in a 9, 10-month, 12-month period. Recently at Century Park South, if we had implemented this, our numbers probably would have been much higher. But right now, we're sitting on a lot that is just sitting there, and they have to do inspections. Now, we're not incurring any of those costs, but someone is.
Would it change who you use? I mean, if we're vetting the people and knowing their time frame, is there other things we can do? So I guess I'm concerned about being at risk of having higher costs. So I'm wondering if there are other measures that we're doing. I mean, if we're looking at if someone does not do well by us, we're probably not gonna be using them again. So isn't there some of that going on?
Things that we do have in our back pocket is a performance bond, which we can go back to the performance bond issuer and receive those monetary, I think it's 20%, or it's a large number, and it's different from a bid bond, and that could cover a lot of costs. But that does deter a lot of small businesses who have to put up their personal assets as collateral, which is unfortunate. So that is one thing we do have in our back pocket, is the performance bond, as leverage, if you will.
So could we use that instead of going through this method?
We could have both. So the performance bond, I think, is 49,999. Anything above that, I think there's a statute that you must have a performance bond for a public bid.
I mean, the reality is you're still punishing them if they're not on time, and if they bid more, they're still gonna be motivated to finish on time, because they don't wanna incur extra costs, so I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, as long as you have decent number of bidders and they're reputable firms, if you get more stuff done on time,
And I've heard of
that's
places,
the key, you know?
they've rebid it because they haven't. And so there's another 30, 40, 45 days of no work.
I mean, and there's also the nature of if they're doing work outside, of weather and things like that, there's things that they're not gonna be able to control or know. And so that's why I feel like they're gonna be padding their bids, and I think in the long run, it seems like it would hurt us. But I don't know enough. I mean, just my gut is telling me that without knowing more numbers. And if we haven't been in the situation very much of having jobs go beyond the scope for a reason that we feel that they're not showing up on time when we have beautiful days and they should be working, then I think maybe that's something we should consider. But if it's not happening that much, I'm not sure if I would implement that. Unless there's a project, maybe it's per project. If it's something that is really, really time sensitive, then maybe we initiate that. But on a regular policy thing, I don't think I would want to do that for all of it.
I guess one example was the Family Aquatic Center, or if we do a pump renovation at the Lakeview Center, that is time sensitive. That is 30, 45 days, and if you go past that, it's gonna cost us money internally as we can't open. Yeah.
Then I would support it in maybe a project by project basis.
Yeah, I agree. I would like to, first of all, I would like to see, what are you talking about if we did have some penalties for late fees, for late,
Some places it's $1,200 a day. That adds up. That's tens of thousands, and then the reward is always capped. I've seen somewhere between $5,000 to $75,000 to $7,500, or a percentage of the total bid as incentive to, okay, maybe we can push someone else off and get this one done, at least on time, so we're not penalized per day.
Usually I've seen it in percentages.
Yeah.
They do it based on percentages.
yeah, I think I would like to look at it project by project. Anything at time sensitive, just like you said with the pool pump or whatever, then maybe we would initiate it. But I hate to get bids that are higher, because people, the contractors know that, you know what, because of issues like weather or whatever, I could get done for an extra fee that in my that I would have to commit to, and I just wouldn't want to see that every project we're getting higher bids than we normally do because they're afraid they're gonna have to pay these excess costs. So I think look at it project by project, and
Okay, project by project.
I'd be in favor of that.
You heard my comment already. I'm whatever staff wants to do as far as is concerned, I'd be for, because I don't see any real negative. There's a potential negative, but if you're dealing with reputable companies and they're doing what they're gonna do, like you said, if the alternative is we're gonna screw around like we are in a couple of projects already, that costs money too.
Okay.
Time is money.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
So
So,
that concludes my report.
okay, well then I think it's kind of a board consensus that feel free.
Case by case.
Case by case, okay.
Case by case, and,
Yep,
I mean, use your discretion,
right,
okay?
okay.
I just one other question on the solar panel. James, have you built into the budget our savings, our electrical savings on
No,
the solar
because
panels?
originally the tier 1 start date wasn't until June 1 to implement, and then that's showing what panels will be manufactured, and that could be August to September before we put them on, or even October. This is actually fast tracking everything by 2 months almost. So no, I have not. Short answer, no.
Well, we could see it.
We could see it is, if it is installed by July, we will see August is was one of the sunniest months, yes.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Drink that.
Just a quick one for me, the ice rink, 12 days?
Yeah, that.
It's been freezing.
We're trying right now. That slushy snow that we had, that really made a lot of air pockets, and us walking out there, we're collapsing what we can and filling it in as we can. So it might be open tomorrow, because they were working out there all day the last 3 days.
Well, it's been very cold. It seems like we would have had more than 12 days.
Yeah. That 50 stretch of 50-degree days, all that rain, was that 3 inches of rain we had, that really thawed out the ground, which didn't help either.
Okay. All right, I was just wondering, so. Yes, Commissioner Kessler.
I have one more question. You skipped over the playground for the kindergarten building, the RFPs. Has are we getting designs? Is the school involved in that? Are we totally doing what we feel, or are we communicating with them?
Yeah, so we're
I'm not
putting,
quite sure
we're
where.
putting on, James is working on an RFP. We probably won't put it out till later in the year. But we'll invite, several playground vendors
So we're
to
not at that,
provide us a
okay.
couple of options, but it's all on us. So once those come in, we'll share that with the board, and then we'll obviously, share it with the school district and the school board as well.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks, James. Next up, Facility Manager Joe Zimmerman.
Okay. So, starting with membership statistics, our Lakeview Fitness Center for January 2019, we had 2,607 active members which was a gain compared to 2,541 in January 2018. Some aquatic notes. Swim lesson registration began on January 29th, and the non-resident began on February 5th. Swim team tryouts are March 4th through the 6th and are open to all. The Turtles swim team won their final home meet of the season against Arlington Heights Muskies, 567 to 412. And the Turtles' final meet of the season is the divisional championship on March 3rd, this Sunday. Some Lakeview notes. We just concluded the Going the Extra Mile virtual race, 150 miles that our members could achieve through any type of movement, walking the machines on their own. We had about 30 participants and even had quite a bit of staff participate. BCU came out and helped hand out medals and deliver the prizes for our winners. We had several of the participants stop and talk with the BCU rep, and she seemed very pleased with the turnout. She was also eager about helping out more with these types of races in the future. So overall, we would say it was a success, and we look forward to doing it again. We also started a group exercise email list, which will help keep our members informed of any cancellations, subs, or changes to our group exercise programs, especially during this last month with all the weather issues. It came in handy. We just want to make sure we aren't bombarding all Lakeview members with updates, so this list will help provide information to just our Group X participants. You can sign up for that at the front desk or the Group X studio at Lakeview. We've expanded our stretch area in our cardio room. We've added more black rubber tiles. It looks nice. And we also added some new swim lane signs. We replaced our old swim lane signs with ones that are branded for Lakeview. And we're also in the process of kind of going through and making sure that we're replacing more signs to make it branded throughout. And I just wanted to highlight a few of our classes. Plus size yoga has had some positive feedback for those who attended. However, we are also putting together some informational pieces to help show people what the class is about to grow our numbers. I know we're working with marketing to highlight several of the classes, including this one. We feel that once people better understand what plus size yoga is and who the target audience is, more participants will come. Chair yoga on Sundays was a new addition in this session, and the class is doing very well. Participants are flooding the comment and suggestion box with compliments about the class and the instructor. And finally, we have a new program coming to Sullivan that is called Family Pound. This will be a class for adults and children alike. Participants will use weighted sticks that look like drumsticks and dance to move to music while creating their own beat. It's a fun way to get active with the kids. That's it for my report. Are there any questions?
Any questions for Joe? Okay, thank you very much. All right, next is Marketing and Communications Manager Cheryl Booman.
Good evening. Our spring-summer guide was just mailed. I hope you got it in your homes for all the Vernon Hill residents. Our non-residents are welcome to come to any of our facilities and pick one up. Registration for our programs for residents begins March 5th. Non-residents can start registering on March 12th. Cassie, Diane, and Jeff attended a marketing class at the Vernon Hills High School. It was actually quite fun. We did a kind of a case study on how we create in a special event, and we used Loop the Lakes as our event for this year, so I think the kids really enjoyed it. So that was fun. Our website has been updated with our spring summer camp and updated for our FAC. We have a few new pages. We added one for our farmers market. Special Recreation asked us to add a page just for them, so we have a page for them also. And HAP was changed to PALS with an explanation of the change on their page. Soon, the sled and skate tab underneath that big slide will be changed for to buy your family a Quadra Center pass easily on the homepage. So we'll change that probably in a couple weeks when we know for sure our sled and skating has gone away for the season. Craft beer tasting has had quite a bit of marketing. Our last email just went out, our subscriber list went out. We did 3 of them. Cassidy has some more planned for Friday and Saturday. Tomorrow, a few of us are going to the WXLC radio. We're doing a live broadcast, and a few of the beer vendors are coming also. And that will be our last push for craft beer. So everybody listen to the radio tomorrow morning. We do have a fitness special coming up on St. Patrick's Day. It is already advertised, so it's not a secret. It's 17% off if you buy your membership on St. Patrick's Day, March 17th. And that is my report for the evening, if there's any questions.
Any questions for Cheryl? All right, thank you very much. Next up is Commissioner Committee Reports and Communications. I guess I can go. So Commissioner Kessler and I had our village liaison meeting Tuesday, right? And we met with some village staff and commissioners to discuss several topics. One of them is right up there, and that was the removal of the Lashen Center and what to do with that piece of property. And we brought a couple of conceptual drawings over there as far as dealing with the tennis courts as well as the green space that would be created by the disappearance of the building, and we kind of voted around the table to go with that design where we would keep 3 of the tennis courts and maybe create some small playground, but maybe not right away. This is not something that might happen immediately. I believe I'm safe to say that the village has some funding that they would be interested possibly in helping with the tennis courts. I don't believe they have any real interest in doing anything with the green space other than leaving it as a green space, just grass. It's a kind of a challenging site because there is a big elevation drop off of the one side of it. So also it's kind of in a busy area for traffic things. So talked about that. We discussed the possible programs over at Century Park once all of the construction is completed. Let's see what we have, the farmers market, food truck issue, and anything else. That was basically those. We talked about those. What am I missing? Oh, and then we did have a lengthy discussion about the kindergarten traffic flow, and hoping that we could somehow coerce them into them or the school district or whoever into helping fund to move the playground of the skate park, slide it over so we can get that traffic pattern that we're going to have to live with farther to the outside of our existing parking lot. So that was the lengthy discussion that we had. So I think that's about it. Did I miss anything? So I guess, should I ask about that first?
Yeah, I think just maybe with Commissioner Moline and Commissioner Robbins that weren't present, just to weigh in on that specific design, as Commissioner Ballou alluded to, the consensus was, there are currently four courts there, is to remove replace all the courts with a new surface and fencing, and so we thought it would be best served, and some of that was feedback that the village had received from the neighborhood, Hawthorne Club neighbors, about having a small playground in that area because the distance that they have to walk to or bike to or perhaps stroller to is the Hawthorne Club playground or Kitty Corral. We do not have any current funds to put a playground in there in our capital plan. We do have funds to share the expense to renovate the tennis courts. And so, that's something that I think we would look at sometime this year. But in terms of that space that would be allocated for a future playground, that would be something we'd have to look at down the road. To put a new playground in there depends on, what size you want to put in there, but you're anywhere from, on a small playground, $100K, to a larger playground, $200K, because the whole site would
Based
be.
on the fact that it's basically gonna be the size of one tennis court, it's gonna be small no matter what we do, right?
Actually, though, Mike, a tennis court size is a pretty good sized playground. You'd have a pretty decent area.
Yeah, I guess.
It's not, kids' castle, but if you went over, and you looked at, let's say,
Westwood?
Westwood. Thanks, James. That's a good indicator of probably the size that you could fit in there.
And
And we could do some unique things. You could do, a different, instead of, slides and swings, and there's other types of play equipment that you can do that could generate some interest, so.
And for residents who are concerned about going from 4 courts to 3 courts, one of those, the driving decision behind that is actually from the village. The court where the playground is, the ground is heaving so badly underneath it that they can't really use it anymore. They're gonna have to do something with it this year regardless.
Right.
They're gonna have to close it down because they can't fix it, and it would cost them an awful lot of money to repair that one court. So that one was gonna go away either way. So.
And then to add with that, we looked at another design with the playground more towards the green space, which then we felt wasn't really safe because it was close
You
to.
can, if you just flip that, Amy, would you mind just flipping that board? You'll see the other design that was not selected.
It wasn't selected because of the location of the playground was going to be too close to a busy street. And then I think Mark Fleshire mentioned, he thought it would be nice to take that take that court that is a poor court, move the playground there, so if parents are playing and their kids are a little bit older, where they can play right outside there, that was something he thought was appealing.
Yeah, and further, we noticed where that location is, even really anywhere you put it on there, what Commissioner Baloo alluded to, because of the grade and the elevation drop-off, it's just not gonna work. It's not gonna be conducive, so.
Have we considered, since we have to redo the 3 courts anyways, converting those to pickleball courts instead? Making
So-
just dedicated to pickleball?
So I think our 6 pickleball courts are actually gonna be fine.
It's hard to
I think
say.
it's,
I mean, honestly,
it could
I would be
something.
hesitant, and I don't wanna try and sound like I'm a pickleball expert. I mean, I had probably more experience than anybody here, but that's just because nobody here has any. Seriously, I think we need to, no matter what we do, I think until we see what those 6 get, the usage of those 6, I don't think anybody could really intelligently guess at how much. It may be more than enough, it may be not, I mean, you're seeing
Yeah.
Bill, Buffalo Grove put 4 in, and now they put another 6 in, and so obviously they feel it's growing, but everywhere's
Also,
different.
restrooms is really key.
Oh,
And-
yeah, if
And we don't have a
pickleball doesn't have a
there's no
restroom,
restroom out at
don't
Lashin.
use it.
Yeah, unless you get inside the village hall, which is a 9
They
to
say
5
the one
operation.
behind Twin Groves, there's 2 courts there, and they're never used because there's no bathroom, so.
They have a porta-john.
Yeah, and yet the one over at After-Kissick, those are used
Beautiful
all the
restrooms,
time,
yeah.
because they're brand new, beautiful indoor, go in inside
So
restaurant.
so it sounds like the consensus, so I'll work with Mark Fleischhauer, the village manager, and just look at, some kind of scheduling of when, we can renovate those tennis courts. We do have funds in our capital, they do as well, we just gotta make sure that they match, because, if this ends up being, I think they used a figure of, they had like 75,000 in their capital plan. Well, if this thing comes in at, where you gotta jump another 15 or 20 grand, they gotta contribute to, then we'll have to talk to them about that. Okay?
And what's the green space? Is that or any
That's the
cost to it?
Lashin, the village is taking care of that. The
Just when they
Lashin
tear it
building
down,
is
they'll
coming
use
down
lawn
next
grass.
month. Yeah,
That's all it's gonna be.
Yep.
It's gonna be
And
tough.
the village is gonna be doing that?
yeah, they're taking care of that expense. And then the future of the site is looking to be, they haven't said at this point that they would deed the property over to us, but that they would provide some kind of a long-term lease to the park district. So,
And they also talked about helping with the maintenance.
yeah, taking care of the annual maintenance on the cutting of the grass, mainly that whole new green space.
I think that covered everything. Great. Okay. So with that, no board correspondence, I don't believe.
None.
Okay, then with that, we'll get on to new business. First up is Resolution 01-19, a resolution authorizing Park Board President to extend janitorial services contract between the Vernon Hills Park District and Crystal Maintenance in the amount of $67,860 for fiscal year 1920.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions, concerns? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Meline,
Yes.
Commissioner Blue,
Yes.
Commissioner Kessler,
Yes.
Commissioner Robbins.
Yes.
All right, next up is the Park District mowing bid award recommendation. I need a motion to award the park mowing 2019 bid to Gilio Landscape Contractors out of Arlington Heights for the amount of $55,366 for mowing season 2019 for 31 weeks of park mowing services. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Questions? Roll call.
Commissioner Blue,
Yes.
Commissioner Robbins,
Yes.
Commissioner Meline.
Yes.
Commissioner Kessler.
Yes.
All right, our next item is the Grosse Pointe retaining wall recommendation, and before we get moving on this, James, could you give us a summary of the recommendation, please?
Okay. Working with Gewalt Hamilton, they designed a solution that did not involve replacing the retaining wall with the retaining wall. They looked at the property lines with comment on that southwest side, and they feel like a berm can be put in its place as a safe alternative. They're gonna look into the slope to see if it warrants a fence or a guardrail, because there is a minimum slope that you do not need one, because it would be safe, as he would say, for someone to tumble accidentally. And it would cut our costs significantly, he thinks maybe in half. So if you double the number, that's the retaining wall number, which is an expensive, laborious venture, and it is gonna be prevailing wage.
So just for perspective of the public, how many feet of retaining wall are we talking about eliminating?
There is about 50 feet, and it varies from 3 feet high to 12 feet high. So it goes 3 to 12, 10 to about 4, around that one bend.
Questions? Commissioner Kessler?
I have questions, 2 questions, actually. First is, if they remove the retaining wall, or when they do that, is that product garbage? Is there any use for it? Because there's a lot of wall there.
The contractor may want to reuse it for another project if they wish to, but most likely it's just gonna go to a landfill. They sometimes do recommend putting aggregate like that at a special landfill that can be crushed up. We could certainly put that in the bid, but they used a pretty, I'm gonna say, nasty glue back in the 90s to keep those things together. That's something that landfills really do not like. So Gewalt is actually looking into that as well.
Okay. Second is the fence. Now, I'm trying to get the perspective. Is that also to keep is part of the baseball field, is that to keep balls from rolling down? If we don't put a fence there, is that part
No.
of the baseball?
No, the outfield
fencing?
fence will remain in place.
It's a different fence,
It's
okay.
kinda like when you walk around on the east side, there's just a small part that's a little fence because
Yes.
it's too high, you could
Okay.
fall over the wall. Right.
I didn't know if, I remember seeing it there, but I couldn't remember if it was associated with the ball field fence. And I didn't want any balls just to like somebody have a roller that they have to run down a hill to get it. So, okay, thank you.
And this project is gonna be, started and completed in this fiscal year?
It's part of the capital, so I think it's gonna straddle a little bit of both, depending on when we get the bid out. So it may start in May, but it may not finish until early June.
So do we need to budget for any of this in our new budget?
We really haven't. This was an unforeseen expense. I think the capital improvement funds kind of just roll over. I don't know if that's the right word.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
the fund
they do.
balance rolls over.
I mean, if it's something that we didn't know about it last year, when we did our budget at this time period last year, so I would think for proper reporting, we should come up with some number for our new budget for the fiscal year end
Or
for
discuss
20.
another project, if that's.
Or
where
can it
we're
just
gonna
be,
go.
or can it just be carried over and charged back? I've seen that as done as well. And then it would all be charged
To one.
into this fiscal year, even if it finished in the other fiscal year because the project started in this fiscal year. Can that happen?
If we can get the invoices dated before May 31st, and we can get them paid out in June.
Maybe.
Well, we're before our next meeting, budget meeting, we can see where things are at.
Yeah, but you gotta, we gotta put it out to bid. We gotta,
Yeah, I
you
don't-
gotta look at a
I don't see how you're
contractor
getting it
that's
done.
gonna get it done before May 31. The thing James and I have talked about too with this is, we have future plans to master plan Grosse Point. And the ball fields are a big part of that master plan. And this would obviously weigh into that in terms of this berming. And so it's a matter of, do we want to spend the money now and get it done? And, that would just be one less thing we'd have to do when we plan out Grosse Point. Or do we want to push it out and see if you get a better, price? This is just from our engineers at Gaywalt that came up with this number. So it's been what, 3 years now since that collapse?
No, it's only been like a year at most.
Is
The
it?
other section collapsed 2 years ago.
Okay.
And we got that one fixed.
And,
been
we've
leaning for a
just,
while.
we've just
Yes.
been, kind of roping it off and putting safety, but even the path that goes around the outside of the ball field fence is in not the best shape. There's a lot of good cracks in there, so it's one of those, I honestly can't sit here and give you a solid recommendation on how I'd like to see it go. I'm 50-50 on it, and, it's originally, I thought the estimate was pretty high. They do got some bleed in there on the soft cost of $15K. That always makes me a little apprehensive when you got, 25% of your 30% of you got in soft costs. Now, you may not use that. And so that 71 figure that is being put before you might be 50, But from my experience on projects like contracts like this, you're gonna end up putting a little bit more into it.
But
So,
I think the alternative of rebuilding the wall, which you said would be at least twice as much.
yeah.
And
no.
then, before we've even gotten to the master planning, which we think we're gonna be doing here coming up.
Well, a lot of that is, later this year that we would be doing the planning, and then the actual project work would probably be sometime in 20, maybe even into 21.
But to put a lot of substantial amount of money into some structures that we might be removing, or moving or adjusting.
Well, I don't think so, Jim. I think in that, if you have the wall, if you have the berm in, then whoever's bidding it at that point knows that that thing ain't going anywhere, and you're gonna have to work around that, whatever you're designing. The main culprit with the ball fields is drainage, you know? And so a lot of that is just excavation and putting in additional drainage as much as it is the perimeter of the ball fields that you'd be concerned about in terms of, so I don't think the berm, I think if it worked, but it's, 12 feet high in some areas, it's
It's a
larger
large
than-
berm, yes.
It's a large berm.
The two things, the drain tile that's in that outfield, they're gonna relocate that towards the pond more. So that will need to be, well documented when we go to bid the second time around, so they can find it. And then in the recommendation, I'm gonna work with Paderma, but do we need to put the asphalt back? Can it just be packed gravel? And then Gowalt's gonna work on, do we need a fence? Cause that's gonna save another $15,600 from the project. I think people just want it open so they can get to the playground versus going north, northeast and going around the ball fields or trying to cut through between fields.
But again, we do need to account for it. We just can't not account for it in the current budget and not account for it in our new budget. We gotta throw that in some line item. It's a large amount, it's $72,000.
We could certainly look into where to fit it in our capital improvement, maybe
Right.
push something else off.
So my comment is, I agree that, something needs to be done. It really looks does not look very nice.
It's not unsafe. Let me
Okay, it's
say
not
that.
safe?
It's not
Okay, so
unsafe.
Okay.
you know.
But it looks bad having roped
Understand.
off areas
Yeah,
and things like
agreed,
that. So I
agreed.
do have a concern with that. I guess, though, if we're planning on redoing the ball fields, is there enough cost savings to wait and do it all at once? Is there a value to that? And how much longer are we talking of waiting? And I know prices always go up too, so is it, I guess, is there more information you can give us to help us make a better decision?
No. Because you're asking me to give you a guesstimate on what a contractor's going to price out in redoing those ball fields. If they included this in their plan, I don't know what that fee would be. It could be in excess of what what Gawalt is proposing here. It could be less, I don't know. We're talking, by the time you look at doing construction at that park is 16 to 18 months from now. Prices could be higher. We're banking on that project to get an OSLAD grant to support, whatever we're gonna do at Grosse Pointe. If we're not successful with a grant, then we're gonna have to remove some of the items there. But the future of Grosse Pointe is ball fields. That's the big ticket item. We got some path work. We've got the tennis courts that have to be done, some parking lot improvements. There's a fitness station that we've got to revamp, but those are not, the ball fields is gonna eat up $400,000 or $500,000 easily on redoing those.
Would we have a better chance with the grant if it included the berm and the walking path? Would that mean anything in
The grant is all based on, 5 new recreational amenities. But they look at things like you could put, park benches in, you could redo your parking lot, all that gets considered. I think we have more than enough, ample enough amenities that we're gonna have to revisit in that park to, really clean it up and make it look. The park is dated. It just needs a good facelift. It really does. So, I don't know. That's why I had James, want him to be the heavy on this one, because I feel like I just don't have an answer.
Yeah.
A good solid
I
answer.
agree, I'm gonna start getting calls soon because it's starting to get nicer. We don't plow that path to begin with anyways, cause those turns are unsafe for our trucks. So this whole time, no one's called, but, I certainly will start to get some phone calls, and I've told them there's a plan, but I've never set a date.
So, We can put it out to bid. We can come back to you with some figures. And, I think your comment earlier, Cindy, about just the unsightly of the, of the area is well taken.
Unsightly.
Yeah, is well taken. So,
If you're looking at 2 more years before we even get to the project.
Right.
It's a long time to leave construction tape up. Safety tape.
It's actually, it's rented construction fencing.
Yeah,
That was
it's
Padermo's
the
recommendation.
orange fencing.
So it's 6-foot panels, the entire up the hill and at the bottom of the hill, just to keep kids out of there and animals from going inside the storm sewer.
I'm sorry, can we do a different RFP to see if we come up with any better pricing on this project, or are we?
well, you have in your packet, you see the retaining wall improvements. There's a line item breakdown of what you would have to put in your RFP in terms of, making sure the work is done quality.
So it might be, yeah.
I mean, so we can certainly bid it out and come back and see what the
Yeah.
numbers are.
You have contingency in there at 20%. You got your soft cost. I mean, you got over $20,000 in contingency and soft. Now,
Yeah. Guess we need to really find out what the numbers are.
yeah, and until you put it out and see what your numbers are.
It's more than a third of the price, which is, seems off, it's really high.
That's what-
It can't hurt to get a number.
Okay. We got it.
Let's get a number.
Okay, we got it.
So do we need a motion?
Yeah, to just provide direction, I think it would be
So I
helpful.
need
yeah.
a motion to approve a recommendation to, and get pricing for this project based on your specifications.
So moved.
Second,
Roll call.
Commissioner Kessler?
yes.
Commissioner Robbins?
Yes.
Commissioner Meline?
Yes.
Commissioner Blue?
Yes. Okay, next item is the TVSS electrical equipment recommendation, and James, you're up again.
Last year's Paderma loss control review, one of the recommendations that Paderma set forth to a lot of districts was a transient voltage surge suppressor for main electrical panels. They found that the surge protector strips, although they have a guarantee, there's a lot of red tape, and you oftentimes don't get your money back ever from the guarantee. This is protect your buildings from surge coming from ComEd. For Sullivan Center, I'm talking with Randy, it's our server. For Lakeview, it's our pool pump and all the fitness equipment. Currently, there's no surge protection on the equipment, though there's protectors in the ground. Again, you have to really be diligent on trying to get them to pay up for the equipment that's been damaged. So Jackie Pierce last year put in a recommendation as a loss control to start implementing, first looking into the possibility of putting these surge protectors on our electrical panels and then getting some costs. She did offer us $200 per facility, which is nice. This is part of, thank you for implementing this.
To buy lunch?
Sure. And so I've got 3 proposals from 3 electrical companies that we worked with in the past, and the numbers are before you. Just looking to get some direction on the recommendation.
So typically, when I have a line item that exceeds, 4,000 or 5,000, I go to you guys with just shoot me a quick yes or no. This one is not anything budgeted. It's not anything we have. This is one of those, Paderma came through, as James said, our risk consultant saw that this was something an improvement we had to do for safety reasons. And so I felt it was necessary, at least give you a background on it versus just shooting you an email and saying yes or no. But it's something we have to do, from a safety standpoint. So.
Does Paderma offer any discounts for us doing this? To the tune of $12,000?
With the $200 per facility.
$200 per facility, you'll see, yeah.
Just so you know, where I work at the Forest Reserve, we just had this happen. And it fried out our entire HVAC computer system. And this was on a power outage where they had we believe a surge and then a out. And when it surged, it fried it. And Paderma is not replacing
Covering
anything.
that.
So, and ComEd, good luck getting anything out of them. So I am all for this.
How long does this last, these surge
There,
protectors?
that's a good, there is a expiration date on the equipment. If it does get tripped with a significant voltage spike, you do have to replace it. So there are some drawbacks. So I could be coming back to you in several months for another $12,000 if there's a surge significant. But Derma does say that ComEd needs to investigate why it happened, and they are working with ComEd on trying to get reimbursement for these units being placed, because it actually benefits them, knowing that there was a surge spike here in this building. Why? Maybe it's a transformer outside, maybe it's the line in the street.
And the 12,000 is covering 2 buildings, correct?
Yes, it is.
So it's
So
6,000.
it's 6,000,
6,000
6,000.
each, right now.
And then for next year's budget, I did put a line item for the rest of Family Aquatic Center and our maintenance shop.
I think it's money well spent, but anyone else?
I bow to staff's recommendation. If they feel it's necessary, then I agree.
All right, well then, based on that, I need a motion to approve a recommendation to, I guess it's to award the contract to Umden Stock, years, in the amount of $12,080 for the TBSS system installation.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Commissioner Robbins?
Yes.
Commissioner Meline?
Yes.
Commissioner Blue?
Yes.
Commissioner Kessler?
Yes.
Okay. And then finally, we're up to commissioner comments. Commissioner Meline, anything?
No, thank you.
Mr. Robbins?
Not this evening.
Commissioner Kessler?
I don't think anything this
We still have to do the Granger.
There's nothing there.
Oh.
I got nothing.
None, no payables.
Oh, never mind. Thought there was.
That Dave wasn't here.
Yeah.
It's actually a credit, Bruce.
Pardon?
It's a credit.
Oh, okay, I thought I saw an amount.
And then finally, my only comment is just as a reminder, beer this weekend.
That's right.
Everybody show up, buy your tickets, get there early. It goes fast, so. And with that, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Meline?
Yes.
Commissioner Blue?
Yes.
Commissioner Kessler?
Yes.
Commissioner Robbins?
Yes.
We're adjourned. Thank you both, everyone.